Wanda GodsBratt of Watching Wanda's World on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Tonight I have with me my girlfriends, my sister girlfriends, Paris Joseph, Denise Chester, and Dr. Nicole Ford Francis. We're going to be introducing something to you that's going to be a little bit new and different. With Watching Wanda's World, we've decided that we'll have it the first Wednesdays of every month, and it's going to be a woman's roundtable where we discuss all issues, concerns, things concerning women. So give us a minute here, and I will bring on my guests. All right, so welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. So again, we're going to be talking all issues concerning women. We're talking mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually, social, economically, whatever concerns there may be. There's no topic that's going to be off limit. We're going to have anywhere from the four ladies you see here up to 10 ladies at a time. So you'll get something from every angle and perspective. Now, one thing I wanted to ask the ladies, and I'm going to share for myself. What I hope to gain from this panel is, number one, a feeling of inclusiveness, and also to show that women can get along. They say Black women don't get along. We're always angry. We're always this. We're always that. And I want to dispel that myth. Also, I want to show women that they're not alone in the things that they go through, because so oftentimes we bottle up everything that's going on with us because we feel like we have to be superwoman, or we're weak if we show that we're not having a good day or we're not having a good moment. And I want us to feel like we have a safe place to land with the issues, or just to not know that we're alone, know that we're not alone in what we're going through. So Paris, what do you hope to gain from the round table?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, Sister Wanda.
You're
Nice to meet
welcome.
everyone. What I do hope to gain from the roundtable is to, um, it share some of my experiences and some of the things that women go through. Also, to be able to, with my experiences, encourage others. Reach out to maybe some that maybe want to voice what they're going through, because some women, are afraid to speak up on, things that they're holding in, that they feel like they may be judged upon. So um, I just hope to kind of just, you know, listen in and share my experience, relate to other women
Mhm.
based on our experiences, and, help each other out. Just as women, we need to empower each other. So that's what I hope to gain from this roundtable.
I love that. That's one of my hashtags, empower. Denise, what do you hope to gain from the round table?
Oh, I didn't know I was gonna be next, but I'm ready. I'm getting my iPad. Well, I what I hope to gain from the round table is I need a sense of purpose in what I'm doing. And I know it's there, but I want to be able to encourage women and uplift women. So many of us suffer from self-esteem issues and things like that. And depression, anxiety, all of those things in our community are taboo. So I want to give light to that. And also, I want to receive all of those things back. I want perspective. I want encouragement. I want love. Because, as some of the ladies may know, I lost my mother this year. And you will always need your mother. And I knew that before she was sick, before she was gone. But I want to be that for someone, and I want all of those things back. So, I'm excited. I'm excited about it, and I'm ready. Because I was getting ready to get on here and go off. I'm like, this is the fastest, uh, messiest face and I've ever done, and I'm like, I'm already mad at my face, like, but I still love myself. I'm just saying.
Shantae
It's,
says she's so sorry for your loss. Shantae is actually one of our panelists. She was going to be on tonight, but she's traveling from Eastern Shore and didn't
Thank
make
you,
it back on
Shantae.
time, but she is supporting us in the comments. Dr. Nikki. And then next, I want us to go back and tell some of our background, if you don't mind, so people can see that we all come from different backgrounds. But Dr. Nikki, what do you hope to get from the panel?
Well, first of all, the same thing y'all said.
Hmm. That's right, Dr. Nikki.
I know that's right.
And the thing is,
Ditto.
you all's face looks beautiful because all I have on is lip gloss, and it's because I had some mascara that probably needed to go in the trash, and so I am having a little problem with my eyes. So my eyes being medicated right now. So you all look beautiful compared
Thank
to
you.
I don't have a face right now, but I just I want to make sure that I'm able to offer whatever experiences I've been through to other people, to other women, um, to let them know that they're not by themselves. I lost my mother, and we've talked a little bit about it. I lost my mom back in 2012, and then I lost my son in 2015, and I lost my grandmother, who was like my mother, at the beginning of COVID in 2020.
Wait a
She
minute.
would have been
One
90.
second. 1 second, Nicole. We had lost Denise for a second. Can you repeat
Oh
that? Because
no.
I know you were sharing that for her benefit. Go over your losses.
I'm
And
sorry.
Oh
Yeah, I
Shantae,
lost.
Shantae said
no.
Denise, she's sorry for your loss. And Nikki, she said your face looks beautiful.
Oh,
Oh,
thank
thank
you.
you, Dr. Nikki.
Thank you. Yes,
This face is
because
not
I
telling me
went through
what
my
give me the
sad
day.
story. But
Hmm.
no, I was just saying that loss is something difficult. This is that part of growing up that we hate. You know, you used to want to be 18 and you want to be 21, and then you get here and it's like, not so fun. But I was saying I lost my mom, so I understand that. And my grandmother, who was like my mother. So we definitely have things that we can share. So my goal is just to be open and honest as much as I possibly can be, and to hopefully help somebody. And then I need help too.
Hmm.
Somebody might say something that'll help me. And I think that just being quiet, being separated, feeling isolated has been
Hmm.
such a problem for us as a community. So if we can be open about it and just be ourselves, I'm just glad that Wanda has created a venue for us to do that. And so I'm just happy that we have each other at this point in time, and everything happens for a reason. So I'm grateful.
Shantae just said as transparent as possible. I thank God for dropping this in my spirit. It came out of nowhere. And I've always told you all that my Facebook page is a ministry. It came about as me talking to God and me fighting and wrestling with God, because sometimes I feel like what He's asking me to share is too much. And I have to humble myself and be
Yeah.
obedient, because when I'm not, then nothing goes right in my life until I drop things the way He tells me and instructs me to drop it. But people think that the page is a ministry, but the real ministry is my inbox. When people say, I
Hmm.
felt alone when XYZ, before you talked about it, or thank you for sharing this, or thank you for revealing how you dealt with XYZ. And, you know, or they share with me for the first time a thought that they've never shared with anybody else, or they admit to me that they just found out their child is gay, and thanking me for revealing how I dealt with it, or asking me how I dealt with it. So those things. My background is I've been employed all of my life since I was 14 until my body retired me, and I'm a chronic pain sufferer. I don't work now, but I have a professional background. I work with several doctors' offices. I've worked with American Express, great forum to empower women. Hi, Michelle. Thank you, sweetheart. We've decided that we're going to do this the first Wednesday of every month. We're just going to talk about any and everything women. Ladies, if you have a topic that you want to talk about, drop it in my inbox and we will bring it up, and then make sure you're there, because we may have one topic per episode, or we may have several depending on how we roll. We promise to be authentic and transparent to you. um yes, the hard, tough conversations, the tough
Mm-hmm.
topics, things that people shy away from, but we're gonna delve into it. We're gonna go there. Like, we might be sniveling and snotting one day, and we might be laughing and joking the next day. So that's how we plan on this being. We want to have ladies feel less alone, have women feeling
That's
less alone.
good. Hmm.
We could do this for the men, but neither one of us are equipped to have this forum for the men, but they're welcome to chime in and listen, and maybe it can help them relate better to the ladies in their lives. Um Definitely, this is going to be positive. Everything can't always, like, it may start off with a negative connotation, and we talk you through. And one thing we're going to do is we're not always just going to present a problem. We're going to be solution based. So
Hmm.
a problem, we're going to in the end come out with a solution. That's right, no judgment zone, no
Yeah.
judgment
Right.
whatsoever. So Dr. Nikki had a topic that she had on her heart. If you can explain that topic, Dr. Nikki, and we'll go from there and get it started.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's important because we were talking about it being a no judgment zone, but also just a safe space. I
Mhm.
know that a lot about social media. I think that the group of people we know, Wanda, and we've known forever, have pretty much not created a negative place on Facebook. But I
Right.
know a lot of people are not safe on social media. And
Mhm.
so that's something that we have to require. In order for us to manage it, it needs to be a safe space where people feel
Exactly.
comfortable talking, or they're gonna be gone, they're gonna be X'd
Yeah,
off.
my
It's
block
real
list is
easy. The
ready.
Wanda, you in control, you in the chair right there, girl.
I
Uh
got
Listen.
you.
Goodbye. Okay.
Peace
So
out.
we tried.
All right.
So, but one of the things that I was gonna say, and I'll be quick because I don't want to take up too much time, but it's just that what I was thinking about earlier today, this has been a rough week for me. I've been waking up, I haven't felt like doing anything. I haven't wanted to write. I haven't wanted to think. I just have not been in the mood. So I've been doing my work, getting it done, quickly so that it would be done. But in the past, and I was thinking about it today, anger had driven me to be successful in a lot of ways. When I was younger, going into college, I was often angry at my own personal situations. So that would drive me to succeed. So when I got to college, I was explaining that I got pregnant and I had my oldest son, Christopher. And so at that point in time, I was angry at the fact that I didn't want other people to think that I didn't finish college because I had a baby.
Mhm.
So my motivation was not wanting other people to get the satisfaction of saying that I had failed.
Mhm.
So I was angry a lot through college, and so then I would turn that into being angry at the subject, angry at the
Mm.
biology, mad at the algebra, mad. I was just upset, period.
Mhm.
And so when I thought about it, that drove me to try to be relentless in finishing school.
Mhm.
And after that, it was something else. After that, it was my marriage. I was
Mhm.
angry at my husband. I was angry at that. So I didn't want to have to depend on him. So that made me try to get a better job. So
Mhm.
when I sat back and thought about it, I'm like, I've been angry a large part of my adult life. So when do you shut that down? When do you know, okay, I don't have to be angry to be motivated? So
can say I kind of understand. My thing was not so much as anger as that I'm not going to let the people that wrong me ever see me in a situation of failure. Like they'll never see,
mhm,
no matter what I'm going through, they'll never see me but nothing but at my best. So
mhm,
it can help you in a way. It can, you can turn it into a positive as long as you recognize, to me, as long as you recognize that you have that anger in you. As
mhm,
and what you're using it for, and that you don't use it against anyone, that it's totally something that you're using to motivate yourself into a better person, and that it doesn't change or alter your spirit totally. Because mine was always towards this one person. Michelle said I can relate to Dr. Nikki being angry of my situation, and it
mhm,
has helped me to be successful. So sometimes you got to use what you got to get what you want.
mhm,
Absolutely. I mean, I can
Yeah.
mhm,
relate to Dr. Nikki in that, because I always call myself a professional student, although I have a background in, HR and customer service and things like that. Growing up, we did have trials and tribulations, and yes, I was angry at those situations. School was my outlet. It was my outlet. And so I would just take it out, like you said, on the subjects. I was saying, there
mhm,
was one thing that I was going to do, and that was going to be finish school and keep going as far as I want to, because it's the one
mhm,
thing that can't be taken away from me. And it's the one constant thing that I can do and I can be great at, and I can continue to be, better and better and better. So that is what motivated me. Like, I was angry at the situations I was going through. And
mhm,
so
mhm,
school was my outlet. I would go and like nail school. I would be successful, in all subjects. And then I felt like I could accomplish. But once I figured out that, like, you can do this is your way to, like, not be angry, there was no stopping me. So
right,
I
right.
certainly
And
can
that,
relate.
and I'm glad you said that, because here's the thing, and we talked a little bit about this. So then what about the angry black woman? Right?
Hmm.
What about when people always say, okay, we have a reputation of being the angry black woman, and it's always this I don't believe it's true, but sometimes it is, that we're angry at each other. and
Hmm.
and I don't believe that I did have anger. I was an angry black woman for a long time. In fact, sometimes I still am an angry black woman.
Exactly.
I it just but that was my motivation. But then people say it like we're upset, we hate each other. You
Mm-mm.
know, our situations have been anger, things that can cause anger, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and we still manage to raise children and manage to have decent or good marriages and households, but we have that reputation. And
Mm-hmm.
so that bothers me, sometimes. But I have been able to, I think like we said, we can utilize that anger in a positive way.
Right. And Shantae was saying it's very true at times, and she said good points, Denise. And I think I read that Michelle said it helped her to be successful. But yeah, I know I can be the angry black woman when life just keeps piling things on, and I feel like I have no control. Like I have no control over my body. I have no control over the chronic pain. I have no control.
Hmm.
But that's when I go to myself. As long as I don't project it out to anybody that's undeserving, because sometimes you gotta give the people what they want and what they
Mm.
asking
And
for
what they need, and what
and
they
what they
need.
And
need and what they
and
need.
do
You know, when
and
you keep
do.
poking the bear, you get what you
Right.
Yeah,
get. Because
absolutely.
I am cognizant of when I'm very self-aware. So I'm cognizant of when I am that angry black woman. So therefore, if I'm retreating and you keep coming after me, especially on the negative, then you get what you get.
You get what you pay for.
Right.
Or you gonna get it for free. You might get it for
Or
free.
that, exactly. You at least get what you came for.
For free.
Wait a minute, let me pull. I'm trying to act like I could, but that's not being angry, black woman. That's life. Okay, all right. That's Shantae. She said that's not being an angry black woman. That's
Right.
life. Well, that's true. But
Mhm.
sometimes, unfortunately, society doesn't give us the benefit of, they see us in one mode and they just give us that title, and we try to deflect from that title and try to be something other than. But I'm saying to myself, as long as I'm being true to myself and as long as I'm not intentionally hurting someone else, then, because I do know that I retreat when my mood is not a certain way, if you come
Mm-hmm.
after me, you get what you get, and I'm not apologizing. That's
Mm-mm.
why I retreat, so I don't have to apologize.
Exactly. Yeah, I can definitely
So,
relate.
Paris, how do you feel about it?
Um, I mean, I'm still, that angry black woman. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I hear from my kids. Now I hear it from my oldest. Well, mom, I don't talk to you because you're always angry. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
and I literally had to have that discussion with him, like, okay, tell me more, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes hearing it is actually, when you hear it from the ones that you love the most,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of sit back and reflect, like, why am I angry? But it
Mm-hmm.
goes back, like Denise said, and Dr. Nikki said, um, it's just anger did, you know, anger was part of my push in becoming successful.
Mhm.
I was angry. Um, I mean, just from teenager, I'm not originally from here, from Trinidad. So traveling around, I'm a military kid. So I lost a lot of friends. I never could,
Mm-hmm.
I never could keep like friends
Mm-hmm.
for a long period of time because we would have to up and move. So
Mm.
I was always angry because I felt like every time I got closer to a couple of people, girls or friends, we
Mhm.
were part away. So I didn't have that sense of friendship. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then moving to the States, you knew no one. Of course, being bullied in school because we talked a little different, we looked a little different. So it
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of built up animosity and anger, and I didn't know how to
Mhm.
project it. I couldn't take it out on my brothers and sisters, of course. So kind of bottled it in, and it kind of just went into my relationships, into school.
Right.
I was always angry. Every little thing made me angry. Um,
Mhm.
and I started channeling that anger into the things that I loved, like makeup and
Mm-hmm.
beauty and
That
hair
was
and
using it in a positive way. We were talking
Right.
right.
about that. But
I would
that's
just
major. Yeah.
right. And I would just that's what I did. And from time to time, depending on how life's, I'll tap into the anger or whatever. But I like I said, anytime I get to that point, I just channel it into, how can I get ahead? How can I become better? How can I, and like you said, Wanda, not channeling it towards, you know, certain people that's not deserving. So
Mm-hmm.
when my kids come and, tell me I'm angry, not necessarily angry at them, but sometimes, I'll slip up and let them see me.
Mhm.
What happened? Her phone or
You know
something.
what? You know what? You all made a good point, and I think we scratched the surface, but I feel as though the surface is going a little deeper because you just made me think about something. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought about when I started talking about anger, I started at college.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
But Wanda, you and I've talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
Having way too much responsibility as kids.
Right.
Because I didn't have a
100%.
summer.
We were parents before we were
I was a
parents.
parent. Yeah, my mom. after I had been asking for a little brother or sister all through the 70s. We didn't get through all three. We didn't get through
Mhm.
all the 70s. And she decided to, in the 80s, decide to have a baby.
Right.
So when she decided to have my sister, I was kind of used to being an only child.
Mm.
Right.
And then she had some health issues, which caused me to really have to help her. Of course, I wanted to help my mom,
Right.
but that made me like the other parent.
Right.
And then summer times, I babysat. She was a teacher, but everybody needed extra money, so she would teach in these little programs in the summertime. And
Mhm.
so then my aunt Pelby decided to have a baby the same time she had a baby. So then I had two. They were 2 weeks apart. So I had my
Mm.
sister and my first cousin. And
Mhm.
then when my Uncle Wayne would get his son, sometime I have him. So it was
Right.
like I learned how to cook. I knew how to keep the house clean. I knew how to
Mhm.
take care of children. But you can imagine as a teenager, when you're
That was
talking
a
under
lot
your
of
breath.
responsibility. We
It
were
is. Yeah.
parents before we were parents.
Yeah.
Literally.
And
Parents
So
is
me, I
that
was the
that
everybody to
brought a
oldest
little
me.
child. Yeah.
Yeah.
that
So I
yeah,
was the
you do.
second in charge, you know?
Right. You carry
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's like with me, my brother knew that if he didn't do something, I would get in trouble for it. And it's almost like, a bartering system or whatever. And it's like, oh, we could go into that for days, but we're going to keep this positive. But, we could really go there, but raw. But yeah, channeling that anger, because I get angry at that too. Okay, there's Paris again.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, there we go, baby. Nicole was just saying that. Well, Nicole, you mind repeating your last
Oh,
statement?
quick. No, we were talking about how anger, has motivated us, but the thought of it took me back that when I started talking about my anger, I mentioned being in college, but it actually started when I was a little girl because at 9, my mom had another baby. And
Mm-hmm.
so then she had some medical issues that required me to help. So I was up at night because she couldn't go up and down the steps. We lived in a house where, of course, everybody's room was upstairs in Northwood if you're from Baltimore. So we were, you had to go upstairs for the bedrooms, downstairs for the kitchen. So if the baby
Right.
was up at 3, I was up helping. My dad would help, but I had a lot of responsibility. And I watched my cousin and 2 of my cousins too. So I was saying all summer, I really didn't have freedom because I would watch the kids while they would work. Then I was responsible for making sure dinner was on. And I
Mm-hmm.
had to make sure the house was clean, the bathroom. I'm in love with Pine Sol because I think I was emotionally distraught for Pine Sol. I knew the house.
Definitely a pawn
I've
saw.
been no, I've been married. I've been married 2 times since I started getting married, and they been like, "Do you like? Why do you use so much pine salt?" Because I knew that house needed to smell like pine salt when my mother came home, or it wasn't clean. So
Okay,
Right.
so two
those were
things. Michelle St. Louis is from Trinidad too, so she really identifies with you, Paris.
like
Shantae
Michelle.
is saying that sometimes these conversations won't seem positive to others, but this is therapeutic for us. And and
Mm-hmm.
and for some other people that will be watching. So I made that comment that we're gonna keep it positive, but so many of us can identify being the big brother and sister. We were latchkey kids,
Yeah.
and I came home. I had to make sure he was fed, had to make sure his homework was done, make sure my homework was done, make sure the kitchen was clean. Sometimes prepare dinner depending on what time your parents were going to get home or whatever. And yeah, was I happy about it? Heck no.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, I
But we
didn't
did it.
have a childhood per se for so many
Mhm.
reasons.
Right. But that
Yeah,
also leads to us now as women. See, the thing about it is without this being therapeutic, we weren't trying, but it went there because
right.
it,
Mm-hmm.
it, it also explains who you are now. Like
Mm-hmm.
I feel
Absolutely.
responsible for everything and everybody.
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 Amen.
Everything and
Yes. I am the
everybody.
mother hen
Absolutely.
at every. Are they okay? How
Mhm.
much did they have to drink? Are they okay to
Right.
travel to
Yep.
take his piece?
Exactly.
I am the
Yeah.
mother
And
hen.
it's
Yeah.
tiring. It
Absolutely.
will wear you out because
It's
you can't.
exhausting, actually. Yeah. It's
It is
exhausting.
Mhm.
exhausting.
Yeah. But that comes from being good daughters.
Yeah.
You were trying to
That's
be,
true.
so what you do with that now, Wanda?
Jameson, this is a great conversation. What do you do with that? At this point of my life, and some of you know my life, some of you don't. We'll see how far I delve into it. I'm always going to be authentic, but if it's a chance that it may involve other people and they're not here to defend themselves, I may curve the conversation, so to speak, because I've just had a rough life. But what I do with that is, despite everything I've been through, I try to make sure as I get up every day, my prayer is, God, as I get up, let people see you working in and through me. Let everything that I think, say, or do be a reflection of you and your will in my life. So, not saying I'm perfect by any means, but that's what I try to do. I try to put my best foot forward. If I find myself in a negative headspace, once I realize it, I go silent.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
when I go silent, it's not that I'm mad at anybody else. It's just that I don't want to say anything, and my tone is to, even when I'm in pain, I go silent because I may not realize that my tone is sharp. But next thing
Mm-hmm.
you know, somebody walking around do side eye me, and I'm like, well, what's wrong with that?
Right, right.
And then
Feelings
at some
hurt,
point
and
they
yeah.
may or may not tell me, well, you got smart with me, or you snapped at me, or you did this. Well, I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, I didn't know. But that's why I go silent. So when I go silent, give me my space.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. Yeah, because it's not intentional.
It's
It's
really
really
not.
it's a defense mechanism, I think, and it's also protective, but at some point, part of it is like, okay, where's my rock? Like, I'm the rock, for everybody. Like, who got
Mm.
me?
Right.
Girl, who got my back?
I, it's
Who
just
got my
it's
left,
like
my
Hmm.
right, my up, my
like
down? Like I have
right. Who
everybody
knows me
else's.
enough to, be like, okay, I'm just gonna step in and I'm gonna actually do it because that's what she would do for me, or vice versa. Who has me? Like, my only choice is to retreat and get myself together and then go back to being strong for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
Girl, you just said
Hmm.
a mouthful right there.
Mm.
Because
You gonna make me get my fan? I'll be back.
listen.
I just said that yesterday
mm,
to my son, my oldest son. I said, "Who has my back?"
Hmm.
I said, if I fail, we all fail.
All.
mm-hmm,
So who has my
mm-hmm.
back?
Right.
And he made him stop in his tracks because I was like, if I fall, we all fall because
Amen.
there's no one else to pick us up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have to stay afloat
Hmm.
for all of us.
And
Hmm.
And
that's so much pressure, and people
it
don't
is.
realize how
Lot.
much pressure that is when you don't have no choice but to be strong. Like with my situation, when I had my daughter, there was no going sleeping on mama's couch.
Mm-hmm.
I had to make it happen.
Hmm.
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If Wanda didn't make it, her father wasn't doing anything. So if Wanda didn't make it happen, it wasn't happening. And not having my child at the age of 21 made me a better person because I always strive to get to the next level to show her better. I wanted to show her better than what I ever had. I wanted to get rid of
Hmm.
dysfunction in my family. I wanted
Hmm.
to be someone she could be proud of.
Right. But Wanda, you were doing that at 18. I mean, I looked up to you at 18 because I had a girlfriend that had her own apartment, and I was so proud of you. I would be bragging about you and all this stuff because that was a to me to have all that at 18 was
Mm-hmm.
something I looked up to. But
Big
to
deal.
you, it was like a necessity and a struggle. You see
Exactly.
how you don't see people for what you don't know what people are dealing with or how they're dealing with it.
Exactly,
You
because I
know.
moved out of necessity for something I was going through. So unfortunately, I didn't get to do the college route because I had a
Hmm.
whole household that I had to maintain.
So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Thank God that I've had nothing but professional jobs, and I've made a lot of money and probably made more money than some of my friends with college degrees. But had it been my choice, I would have had the same route that you guys had. I would have went to school. I was a smart person, so it was always my dream to go to college and get a degree or two, and but that just wasn't my path, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say,
Mhm.
what she say? I love how Wanda GodsBratt dressed. Didn't know you were going to work after school. Yes. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Yes,
Is
I
that
had a
Michelle?
job at a doctor's office after school. Michelle made me aware that I had this one gray suit that she used to like, and yeah, I had a
I think
little
I
job.
got a picture of that, or I had a picture in my
I
book
have
because
to
you
see
had your
this gray
tilt.
suit.
Yes, I
We had
had
our
a
tilt.
tilt then. Yes, I worked in the doctor's office after school. From the time I was 14 on, I worked. After I stopped working at that doctor's office, I went to University of Maryland Department of Human Genetics. After I left Department of Human Genetics, I went to Verizon. No, I went to a third party administrator insurance company, and then I went to Verizon. So I was blessed to always have wonderful jobs despite the fact that I did not have a college degree. I made buku money, thank you, Jesus. I was able to sustain me and my daughter, but it wasn't easy. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't
Mm-mm.
easy.
Mm-hmm. And the
Now,
responsibility of
did
all of that
anger?
is,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Dr. Nikki. The responsibility of all of it is it's heavy. And I'm gonna be honest
Hmm.
with you. How many years old was I when I got to a point where I had to say no. That was,
Mm-hmm.
6 months ago, really, to be honest, if I'm really being honest with myself, when, my mother passed away. It was that I just can't do some of these things that are being required of me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just I don't have it in me. I don't have it in me. So anybody who has the expectation that I can be who I was, February 23rd and prior, it's just not there anymore. So while, I'm saddened by that, it really has taught me something. Like, God is like, oh, you will sit down. You will say no.
Hmm.
You will have to stop at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, like I said, I miss my mother dearly, but that is also very freeing because I'll go and go and go, and I won't get tired. That's the problem. But my body will be exhausted, and at that point, you
Hmm.
just have to stop. But I will tell you, from the minute I got that phone call, there were just things that I knew I was not going to be able to do, and a lot. And the first thing was, I'm not going to be able to pick up the phone and call nobody. So who's going to do that?
Right.
So I needed,
Yeah.
and I had a support, and I needed that support to step in because otherwise I would have been sitting in the same spot. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, I will
That
tell
is
you, I was for.
scary. That's
So
It is
scary.
scary.
I get it because
Yeah.
my mom was always there for me. I mean, I was in my 40s and went home with three children. If
Mm,
something didn't go right, a marriage, a relationship, a house, a job, she was always, Nikki, you and them kids come here. So when she was gone and then my grandma was gone too,
mm, mm,
it was like,
mm,
oh, wait a minute. I know I got aunts and I got uncles, but I got a house bigger than all them. Now, I was usually the person everybody came to if something went wrong.
mm-hmm.
If I had space for everybody. So every time I got a house, I got to have space for the kids. I got to have space for the family. I got to make sure I got this. So everybody can
Gotta have
come if
my
something
room.
happens. Wanda got to have her room. Wanda got to have her room with butterflies in it. You know, so there's just so much responsibility. And when my grandmother was gone, that reminded me, I can't just get mad at a job and roll out.
absolutely.
I can't
Hmm.
just say I'm done. I know I can go home for a minute and rest. I meaning
Mm-hmm.
to wherever my grandmother or my mother is or was at the time. So yeah, it is a lot of responsibility.
Hmm.
And if you already used to being responsible for everyone, I thought about it the other day without making it go in the wrong direction. I said, but nobody else is ever gonna love me like that.
Right.
The kind of love you get from your mom and your grandma, where
Yep.
they don't need anything in return, they don't want anything in return. that's something that you just have to kind of learn to be that. Because now I am one of the matriarchs of the family,
Yeah.
Well,
and that's
I'll
a
say
And
weird
this, and
thing.
I'm gonna leave it there. For me, be blessed that you at least know it, because some of us don't have that.
absolutely. That's
Now,
true. That's
James
true.
made a comment. He said the black woman was designed to be a blessing to the family, but but taking the woman for granted has caused the blessing to feel like a curse. That's why the female prayer circle is so crucial. Very true. And then he also
Absolutely.
added that we got to have my ice.
Just a
But
Yeah.
couple of ice.
I envy with like I don't envy that you two are sad and hurting, but I envy the fact that you two had relationships with your moms
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
that you
Mm-hmm.
miss, because mine is walking this
Absolutely.
earth and we don't speak. And before people start
Mm-hmm.
saying that's your mother, you only had one mother, save it. I've done everything I
Mm-hmm.
can. It takes two. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know my
Mm-hmm.
story, but
Yeah.
I envy you all for having those type of relationships, because I've tried everything I could, despite the circumstances of my life, to have it, and I
And that's a
still
heavy
don't.
load too. That's
Yeah,
heavy. I can't even imagine because my mother was also my best friend. So it's like, it's a double fold for me. I'm missing my mother and one of my best friends. So, when I have that news or I have that, moment that I want to just be like, I just need to let it all out and she's here. You don't have that.
Hmm.
But to have your mother here and not have that relationship, I don't know which one is worse actually, because I don't know what I would do without having had that with her. I'm not saying that things were perfect. I'm not
right.
saying everybody didn't make mistakes, but my
But
mother
you
was
had
my,
it. Y'all
yeah, I
found
had
the
it.
yes. My mother, Shantae said, my mother is my everything. So I totally understand. Her
I
mother is my
understand,
everything
Shantae.
too. Her mother, Shantae's mother,
Is that the
is
jazzy
who
one?
taught me how to be a woman. Because
Yeah,
Shantae and I have been friends since we were 11 years old. Her mother is who taught me how to be a mother. Her mother is the one
I
who
love
told me
that.
you never let your pride stand in the way of asking for help if you need it. If you had, when you
Absolutely.
once I had my daughter, because I was proud. Like I said, I've been through
Hmm.
some things, so I never wanted anybody to see me looking less than. So
Hmm.
Hmm.
I looked like $1,000,000 and ain't have a penny into my name for 2 weeks, but I was gonna make it
Listen,
ride out. And my
because
pride wasn't gonna let you see nothing less than the Queen Royale.
Hmm.
that was embedded. That was our responsibility, is to, make it work, make it happen,
Mm-hmm.
regardless
Hmm.
of, what it takes. And we had tough times, but I was that one, or she was that one. We were the voices for each other. She would tell
Mm-hmm.
you in a heartbeat that, I motivated her to do a lot of things. And same here. There's some things that I would just, you know, if I had, like, I'm like you, Wanda. If it's something, if a relationship is not serving me, then yeah, let's go ahead and cut the ties. But
No
you
matter
know,
who it is.
right,
Exactly.
right. But
No.
she would just, if it was something important, I remember one of the last things she said to me was, "Fix it," you know. And this was family with siblings. She was like, "Fix it. I miss my family," and I'm like, "What am I supposed to do now? Except fix it,"
Mm-hmm.
That's what she
Yeah.
said. But to not have that opportunity with those moments, everybody know, like, if it was a concert, she's probably the first one I'm asking, because she was
Oh,
gonna go with me. If it's a picnic or whatever, she depends on the weather, but for both of us. But
mm-hmm.
um, she was just that, she was my right hand woman.
Right.
I'm dropping her off at the, TJ Maxx when it's 9 o'clock. I'm like, go in there and get us a spot. We got work to do, half an hour. So,
I love
um,
it.
yeah, and I'm happy to share that, because I know everybody doesn't have that. Everybody did not have that, but I have
Mhm.
enough of it for, I'm sure we all do have, stories, but it's very hard. But you just, she was also like prideful, but at a certain point she was just like, I gotta let it go. Ask
Mhm.
for help.
Right. So, Paris, how is your relationship with your mom?
Um, I don't know. I I wouldn't say that it's, you know, all peachy and rosy,
Oh,
but it was I don't know. I wouldn't say that. Well, it's rocky. I can't say that.
Rocky. Okay.
To the point where I have to distance myself
Mm-hmm.
because
I
as I got
understand that.
older and having my own children and becoming a mother,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I have to learn to choose my sanity and my peace.
Mm-hmm.
Real
Um,
talk. Yeah.
so that I don't
Real talk.
transfer those aggressions into my children and my home.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And that's
Um,
what Shantae said, and that's okay, Paris.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it took me
Absolutely.
a long time because over the years I had always wanted to, you know, prove to her that I was worthy or that, to be accepted. Um, being the oldest daughter, um, you know, I had to take while she worked two jobs. When we first moved to the States, of course, she had to work two jobs, and over time, went to college and became a nurse and things like that and acquired a lot. So, I mean, my mother was very, very hardworking. I really looked up to her.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, she would always say, "You look so much like your dad. You look so much like your dad."
Mhm.
So I didn't know whether that was a compliment or a
Or
critique.
not.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Um, but I know that I was treated very differently.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing I
Mhm.
did was good enough. Um,
Mhm.
she didn't want me to have my first child. So, and it was just things she would say, things
Mm-hmm.
she would do, and which I don't really want to get into, but
Right.
Mhm.
um, I mean, I noticed the anger towards me all the time, the
Mm-hmm.
smart little remarks and comments, and
Mhm.
growing up as I wanted that relationship with my mom. I wanted the
Mm-hmm.
going to shopping and going get our nails and feet done, and
Mm-hmm.
and I knew how to do hair. I wanted to fix your hair sometimes, and have those talks about relationship problems, and you know what I'm saying. And when I had my first child, I wanted you to teach me how to become a mom,
Mm-hmm.
a few things that you've acquired over the years, and that didn't happen. I left home just like Wanda did. I left home early. um I was leaving home earlier than at 14. I started working at 14. I got my first apartment at 17 because in Texas you're
Mm-hmm.
considered an adult at 17.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I didn't have any kids till I was 28.
Okay.
Because I was so afraid that I was gonna turn out to be just like my mom towards my kids. So I
Mhm.
held off for so long. Um, but when my first child came, I decided that I was no longer gonna be crying out for your love. You know what I mean? You
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't have to cry out for
For your
your
mother's
parent.
love, for,
Mm-mm.
You know
for
what I
something that
mean?
Absolutely
comes
not.
supposed to
Nope.
come
Be
naturally.
natural.
Naturally, right. So it's like
Mhm.
I'm not gonna struggle for you to love me. Not saying that you don't, but from what I see, I'm not feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
For you to
So
love me the way I need to be loved, not the way you
exactly,
see fit to love me. And I didn't ask
exactly,
to be here. And I
right,
definitely didn't ask for some of these things that's happening to me or
Mm-hmm.
around
Mm-hmm.
me or whatever. And
exactly,
for you to act like you're mad at me or like we're in some type
right,
of competition or whatever the case may
right.
be. Girl, whoo.
So I just decided
Listen.
that for my sanity, to not have to go into a depressive mode or fall
Mm-hmm.
into depression, and allow my kids to see me go through that.
Mm-hmm.
I just decided to you know, keep my distance. I chose my peace and my
Mhm.
sanity over anything, because even no matter how much I tried to relate and try to have family time, you know, bring my kids around and take her out to dinner and, you know,
Mhm.
do little things like that, it was always something wrong.
Right.
Exactly.
So
Sometimes
You
you
got to
got
I,
to
protect
know.
your peace.
You got
right.
to
So
know
Right.
I
when to
felt
say
like,
when. You got to
right.
know when enough is enough. When you've
And
done all
enough
that
had been
you're
enough.
willing to do.
Right. And enough had been enough. And like I explained to her, I love you, but you know, I'm gonna have to love you from a distance. I'm
Distance,
gonna
Right.
have
yeah.
to, you know, choose my peace for my sake and my kids' sake, because
Mhm.
they
Mhm.
started noticing things, and
Right.
then the anger started projecting to them.
Right.
I would
Mm-hmm.
notice that. It was always something wrong with what they did. It was
Mm.
always something, a bad report about them being over there. It was
Mhm.
always, and they could be
Mhm.
doing something as small as just playing a game. And it was
Right.
always something. So I was like, well, why are you always complaining about my children, but you never complain about my brother's kids?
Right.
You know, and it's just, you know, she didn't compliment my kids, she didn't compliment me, she would it's like demeaning comments. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna have to love you from a distance. I will
Mhm.
always love you, you're my mom, I get it, but I'm gonna have to, and you can do whatever you want to do, you can say whatever you want to say, but you're just not gonna have to, you're not gonna be able to do it with me around, and you're not gonna
Mm-hmm.
be able to say it to me.
Right.
Right.
When you decide that you want to have a healthy relationship with me before one of us goes, Lord say so, I will
Amen.
be here. But until then,
Right.
I choose me first, because I have
Absolutely.
forgotten about me trying to make you happy.
Help
Right.
her. Yeah.
Right.
You
And
know
Mm-hmm.
I
what?
refuse, you know, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm 43, you know, I've lived half my life. So
Right.
I want to enjoy the other part of my life with the people that are
Right.
happy with me, are happy how and accept me how I am.
Right.
Mhm.
So
Linda, I'm glad. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to say something really quickly about what you were just saying, sis. Wanda, this fits into what I just did last week, and I want to definitely. I know that you're going to do one with me, and I'm going to invite the other ladies on here to do this as well. Um, I'm an herbologist, so I work with herbs, and I did a personal altar last week. And one of the main purposes of it was really to honor myself.
Mhm.
And so it was a
Love that.
spiritual, I'm a Christian. So whatever your religion is, it's up to you. You can use principles, but that are related to your religion. But I took the time to create an altar before God, but I basically thanked God for me.
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And the whole purpose was to use fruit, different herbs, flowers, things that made me happy. And I took time to use that to create an altar to remind myself that I was worthy.
mhm,
Mhm.
Because a lot of times we don't think we're worthy. Even though we're successful, we're always trying to prove something else. We're always trying to, even sometimes, feel bad about good things happening, or don't think we
Yeah.
deserve this, or don't feel comfortable sleeping late. You try to sleep all day on a Saturday and you feel bad about that. Well, you worked all week, but you got to do. So it's about honoring yourself and reminding yourself that you're worthy. And
Mhm.
a lot of times on a spiritual level, once we've allowed ourselves to realize that we're worthy, the universe, God, however you name it, things begin to come to us easily because
Mhm.
we dealing with so much,
Mm-hmm.
but that is just something sometimes we have to do it for ourselves first because other people may never do it.
Mhm.
But that's an exercise that I did, and I put it up, on social media. But I definitely would love to share that with you, with our group here.
Okay.
because it helped, and it stayed up all week. All week I just kept adding to it, and
Oh yeah.
doing other things to remind myself.
Honor yourself of the
To
things
Yeah,
that
honor
that's what
you
it
are
yourself.
was.
and who you represent and what you love
Hmm.
and what you love about yourself, and just
Hmm.
give yourself the honor, glory, and praise that nobody else will give you.
Yeah,
Or
And
may
how
give it
and
to
and
it
how
you.
is
took
May
it
not
such a
give it to
something.
you.
foreign concept to us, you know? It's so foreign for us to do that for
Right.
ourselves.
So maybe
Right.
we can do that. We'll find a way to do that on one of our Mondays. I think this is going to deserve a part two. Shantae said you're awesome, Paris, and she said she loves that
Yeah.
idea, Nikki. So maybe we'll find a way to do that, like refer everybody to your social media page where you did it, and then maybe you can come on and walk us through it or whatever. We'll figure out a way to do that. Um,
Okay.
but I
And
think,
although I can't relate, I can't relate to, I empathize obviously with, not having a relationship, Paris, and you as well, Wanda. I just, I'm thankful that you can share the other side of that. So thank you for that. And
Yes,
I wanted to
thank
say one
you.
more thing. Can we just get into Paris's hair? Like,
right? Can
I'm
we
looking
just
at my
get into the
screen over
hair?
here. Can we just get into this, beautifully styled
Thank
hair?
you.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, you know me,
Thank
I'm looking at the
you.
hair and all of that. But
Thank
I'm
yeah, I
like,
you.
just
I'm just sitting here thinking I got the right friends now. I got the makeup women and the hair women all in one place.
We got you.
when
We
you
Well,
said
got
you
I
were a
you.
don't have no ugly
hairstylist, I'm like, that
friends.
nailed it.
I must say I'm thankful, that my girlfriends, my sister girlfriends are visually perfect to me as
Yes.
well as they feed my spirit. And I hope they will feed yours. We're gonna sort of bring this to an end tonight because we can take this forever. We're gonna have
Forever
a
and
part
ever.
two to this discussion. I hope that you were able to identify with something that we said. Hopefully you were able to not identify with some things you said. I said. But whatever the case may be, I hope you found something that you needed or whatever from tonight's experience. This is going to be the round table. We have decided we're going to do it the first Wednesday of every month. And we're going to bring, we won't always be this serious. Sometimes we're going to be cutting up. Sometimes we're going to have our glass of wine, something, whatever the girls want. That's what we're going to do because we're being our authentic selves. Shantae will be on the panel the next time, as well as a few other ladies. But we are going to bring you positive women with different backgrounds, different stories, and we're going to bring you life authentically. I promise you that you will never get anything other than my authentic self, and so does my sisters. Anything you
Absolutely.
ladies want to say in closing?
I love y'all and thank you. Yeah, and I'm ready.
Love you too. Thank
I
you.
love y'all.
I
Thank you so
appreciate you
much.
all being open. Thank you so much, ladies, for just sharing with me. It has me excited about next month. So thank you, Wanda.
Me too.
Absolutely. Yeah, just
Yes.
thinking about
Me
it.
too.
Michelle said, "Thank you, ladies," and now Michelle knows another Trinidadian. So
Yes. That's
One of
nice.
my
Yeah.
sisters.
Uh-huh.
okay, so what I'm going to say in closing is that I love you to pieces. As you see, go about your day. If you see a queen going through, help her to readjust her crown if need be. Help her straighten it up. Help her pick it up and put it back on her head. If she doesn't have one, help her to even buy one if you had, or if you have an extra one, loan on one of yours. But whatever you've done to help that queen get her crown placed properly on and securely on her head, zip your lip. Don't tell nobody else what you had to do to help that queen get her crown in position. We need to
Mhm.
be each other's safe place, okay? We need to practice being our sister's keeper. And with that, I'm going to say peace and blessings. Remember, the enemy separates, we unify. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Love you.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
This thing keeps waiting, like taking its time ending.